Happy New Year, motherfucker! Tonight we got Greg Howell, Pueblo Socializer of the Year. I'm calling it right now. It's early, but I'm calling it. He's gonna be drinking some wine with us. We got Dalton, we got Josh. We having a good time. Let's bring in this new year popping.
Make it pop!
Oh yeah, Doobes, two Doobes. We roll up the doob with the ganja, the marijuana. Two Doobes. Get high.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Ryan Cameron. Tonight we have our good friend Greg Howell back for the second time, and we're doing a first time ever 2-part episode. That means you watch this episode, 2 weeks from now you watch the end of this episode.
So if you want to know what happens.
Yeah, come back in 2 weeks to see the ending. We're going to get started. Greg, welcome to the show, bud.
Hey, thank you.
Was I right about that introduction, socializer?
Part of it, yeah. No, people ask me what I do, and I tell them I socialize ideas. So you got half of it right.
I got half of it. So if you have an idea that needs socializing, I know I got 15 of them, so I'm going to be talking to Greg after the show, too. We got Dalton on the couch again. Welcome back, sir. We got Josh back. Welcome back to you, too. Dalton, you want to tell us what we're smoking on tonight?
Well, tonight we are smoking on some black ice. It is from the dank, and it has a THC percentage of 22 to 26%, ranging somewhere in there. And we're gonna guess it's probably an indica tasting. I could be completely wrong on that, but don't fucking judge me on that, man. Come on.
If you're in the couch.
Yeah, because I mean, we'll see.
Can you taste that through the weed?
I can't.
Apparently, there are people out there who say they can. They can do it even by smell. I don't know.
You were just so authoritative. I believed you right away.
I tell you, undermined him.
I was trying to fucking
curious.
save my image.
I needed to know. It's like, have I been missing out this whole time?
I can't taste shit, to be honest.
It's weed, man. It'll get me high. That's all that really matters.
We're also smoking on the volcano. Oh, Greg, when's the last time you smoked a volcano, man?
The volcano goes a long way back, about 1989 in San Francisco.
Whee! And
it was one night, and I could probably write a whole screenplay on what happened that whole night.
Greg's night with Mount Vesuvius.
Oh, it was more. It was Mount Etna, Vesuvius. It was all the mountains of the world.
That was 89, huh? I didn't know the volcano's been around that long.
Yep.
Wow.
It was not as snazzy as this, but it did have the same clear, prophylactic on top of it.
Still atomizing the weed.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. He took a hit before the cameras were rolling, just so you guys know. We're going to be reviewing the Holy Cross wine. Do you know anything about that winery?
It's from Canyon, right?
It's Canyon City, and it's got a pretty extraordinary story, especially of recent, just in terms of, their production and in terms of their loyalty. I mean, they've got so many great fans and customers. So, and they do a lot of their own special blends, which is really unique. But other than that, I don't know the full story behind it. When you showed me that bottle, I looked at it because I recognized the cross right away. And I know that they did a really nice job adding that tasting room that is now a part of it, which is really nice too.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Up in Canyon City, right?
Up in Canyon City, yeah. It's right off to the right-hand side. You can't miss the beautiful, structure.
Is Colorado like a good place to grow grapes? Do you know anything about that? Or?
Well, they do a lot of blending, so a lot of the grapes come in from other areas. And that's true of a lot of good, small batch kind of, boutique, kind of micro vintages that they do. But no, they just have some really great people that have started it, and they've been really consistent. There are a few areas in Colorado that are more, suitable for growing grapes. But I know they do a lot with blends, which are grown from other areas. So it still takes the master to take those blends and actually create what they actually bottle.
So what's a Riesling? Is it a blend as well? Or?
No, Riesling is actually a grape. It's a German. It's a sweeter wine from Germany. So, but the Riesling is a sweet white wine. Is that what this is? I haven't
Yeah,
even
it is
looked
a
at it, what it
Riesling.
is.
Let's
Yeah.
pour it up and see what's
Okay.
going on. It's a white one, right?
Yeah, and it'll be sweeter.
All right, I'm gonna get me and Josh some glasses too. You ever drank Riesling? No Riesling
My
to
experience
do
with
it.
wine is very, I think, white Zen. That's about it.
They gave it to me at the restaurant one
I
time.
mean, yeah, I've drinking it at like
Thank
weddings
you, sir.
and stuff, but nothing. I haven't really gotten super into wines myself.
Yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Where did you get this? Why did you select this one? How did you come about this one?
I selected it because it was a Colorado wine.
Colorado wine?
I figured they're up in Canyon City. We haven't tried them yet, so we can give it a try. Talk
Well, it'll
about
be a
something
lot better
local.
than skier's pee.
Yeah.
The last time Greg was here, that was also a Colorado wine.
That
but
was
it
a
was
fun
little,
episode.
Is that Aspen?
That was like Boulder or some
Boulder.
shit it came from, wasn't it?
It is pretty good wine, though.
But you can taste the sweet side.
Don't review it
Yeah.
yet. So we'll review it at the end of the episode.
Oh,
Josh already gave his review. Sweet.
it's delicious.
So Greg, the reason you're on a two-parter episode is
Right.
because you're a part of everything, man.
I wouldn't say everything. Maybe
it seems like you got
7 years
at
ago,
least
I
your
had my hands
fingertips
in a lot of
in
different
there.
things. Yeah.
A lot of different stuff. So what all are you working on these days? What are you part of these days?
So primarily, one project that's really kept me busy is 2 years ago, we relaunched the historic Pueblo Star Journal newspaper as a monthly nonprofit. And I can't believe we've now been publishing for 2 years. So that was a legacy project, and that was just because this was long before the pulp ceased to exist, long before the Chieftain was purchased. We realized that local news is just so incredibly important, and this is true worldwide. Because when you lose your local voice, it's really hard to make really well-informed decisions, especially when you start talking about local government, you start talking about the school boards, you start talking about all the things that involve economic development, where our money goes. If you don't have people watching those things, oftentimes it gets to be problematic because people start making decisions that might not be in the best interest of, the general community. So there was a team of us that started just having conversations about how we'd like to have another source. I mean, if Pueblo County has about 160,000 residents, we need to have more than one or two sources.
And the one we have did get bought out recently.
Well, see,
so
and
they're
that's
not
the
so
whole
local.
controversy. So we basically, the pulp it just stopped printing. So we lost the pulp, which was a great alternative, news magazine that came out monthly.
Right.
And so we lost that. And then the Chieftain was bought out by Gatehouse. And then Gatehouse was immediately bought out by Gannett. And Gannett is the world's largest multimedia monster that could care less about us. It's USA Today. USA Today.
Associated Press.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
It's-
gotcha.
It's USA Today, which is their main publication. So, and we're lucky if in a newspaper we get maybe one or two stories on the cover, and then the rest of the paper is just all the feeds that comes from
National.
Gannett. So they really don't care so much about. And recently, one of the biggest crises in the state of Colorado, which most people don't realize, when we first started printing monthly, we used the Chieftain commercial press. So if you go down 6th Street there, right there, my
right by
Midtown,
McDonald's
that
and all that.
huge facility actually printed over 80 publications throughout the state. And in May, we got word that they were going to shut that down.
Ooh, damn.
And they did. They shut it down. So not only us, we're now having to print in Santa Fe at the Santa Fe New Mexican. And they're awesome,
wow.
but we lost 80 publications throughout the whole state. We're talking small little rural towns, larger towns.
Yeah, I know
So
they did a lot.
it was a real scramble. It was a real crisis in the country because this whole region lost one of its sources for printed, publications.
Wow, I wonder
and
if they
so
plan to
that
do
was
anything.
a real crisis. It still is kind of a crisis because some publications just closed.
Yeah.
They just some towns lost their local voice. And that's really, really what has been, problematic. But that's something that we started, nonprofit. We finally got our nonprofit status. So, and we're doing a big campaign right now, starting, it was this Tuesday, the 28th through December 31st. We were one of 30 newsrooms selected in the state of Colorado, and we're getting a match. So anyone that donates anything to us, up to $1,000 per individual, $5,000 max, they're going to be matching that for us. So we're hoping to raise $10,000 through the month of December.
Donate, help out.
Just go to pueblostarjournal.org/donate. Yeah, you can donate whenever you want to, but we don't get the matches all throughout the year.
All right. And so you're also part of the Pueblo Film Commission, right?
Right. So, and that has been an ongoing project. And what's been happening here in Pueblo, which is so exciting, is we've got so many smaller grassroots, whether you're talking about elementary school, junior high school level, whether you're talking junior college, or adults. You've got so many different people at different levels of kind of creativity that are using film in particular. But film branches into podcasts because you've got audio and video. In fact, that's something that we did with the Pueblo Star Journal is we have 4 podcasts now, which have gone viral because we realized not everyone gets their news in a printed product.
Yeah, it's a new world.
It is. And so this way you can actually read the cover story, and one of our podcasts actually goes beyond the print. So it takes that story beyond what we're able to print. But the Film Commission has really been, especially, during COVID, of course, pretty much everything shut down. But the last 3 years, we've really been just watching what's been happening locally with all, whether we're talking about, formal things or people that do things, themselves in their own studios. But we've got 4 film festivals now. So that's a big deal for a town of our size.
Yeah.
And we just had CISFA, which was the 13th annual film festival, which we had that at the Art Center.
We need to work on that acronym, but it's a good one.
CISFA. Well, it's called it's something short, something storytelling. I don't even know what the festival, whatever it is, but it's called CISFA. 13 years. It was started by the Soleil brothers, and the Soleil brothers still are doing it, and they'll bring it back again next year. But the Kick-Ass Film Festival, that's going to be April 6th of this next year. April is going to be the big film month.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And then we have a beautiful film that was created by the Palmer Land Conservancy, which I can't say much about, but they've made a beautiful investment in telling the story of the multi-generational farmers up on the mesa. And it's a 34-minute film that's going to be premiering in Pueblo next April. And it looks like it'll be mid-April. And then we have the first annual Pueblo Film Fest that's going to debut next year. And that is the 25th, 26th, and the 27th of April. So in terms of the Film Commission, we're just looking at really supporting and making sure that these grassroots efforts really continue to thrive. Right. So, but there's going to be some new activity with the Film Commission in the coming year, because really what we do is we work with scouts that come to Pueblo and want to use Pueblo as a location. So on a weekly basis, I probably get 2 or 3 calls from somewhere, lots in Europe, some from Hollywood, New York. It could be from just about anywhere. Wow. But they're all looking for locations, and it's a mixture of full feature, documentary, a lot of music videos. There's all kinds of different things. Shorts, a lot of shorts. But we've got such great, our tagline actually, it's the Pueblo Regional Film Commission, and it says, "Welcome to Colorado's back lot." Because when I first got here, I grew up on a movie set in Southern California. So MASH, Little House on the Prairie, Oregon Trail, all that was my backyard. Yeah. So when I got to Pueblo and I'm walking around, I'm just thinking, this town, it's like a movie set. Yeah. I mean, literally, you go to neighborhoods that look like the 1920s or the 1890s. Yeah. You've got big industrial buildings like the meatpacking plant. You've got the steel mill. You've got the depot. You've got all these different, huge facilities that you can't really recreate. I mean, you can use CGI and a lot of other stuff, but to have an actual...
On a budget, it's easier just to go to the place, especially when nobody's using it.
Right. So we do a lot of that now. We just educate. The other thing that we're starting a resource directory. So if you are in film, and you could be everything from a lighting designer, you could be in catering, you could be a driver, you could do hair and makeup, you could be a gaffer, you could be just about anything in the whole arc of film production, we're starting a resource directory because there's a lot of people in town who either want to meet up with other people to do projects, or when crews come into town, they want to be able to use people that have certain experiences. So this directory will be free of charge, and you'll be able to put in that directory everything that you want to offer in terms of what experience you have, what your interests are.
So who do they get a hold of to get themselves in that directory?
You can go online right now and you could submit. There's a form at the Pueblo, it's the PuebloFilmCommission.org. And if you go on the website, you can actually fill out the form. It comes to us, it goes in the database. And then what we're going to do with that is it's not just about people, but we're also doing a whole thing for locations, because we've got a lot of locations. Many of them are privately owned. So we're reaching out to historic properties. For example, Water Tower Place, the old Alpha Beta meatpacking plant, was the first one we put in the database, so that if you want to film there, it has all the information about that, the building, who to contact. And now, instead of having to go through the Colorado Office of Film, Television, Media, which is through the governor's office, now you can go directly to the property owner. So that's going to save a lot of time. And then sometimes we'll get a call if they don't get a call back, because sometimes a property owner might not be too, not knowing about the film production company and, what are they going to film on my property?
Well, so Dalton, I know you're going to be joining up with that website right away. Okay. I know you probably had some questions for him, right?
Yeah, we actually worked together on a project, which was
that
nice.
was what, 2018?
It was just before the pandemic.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
right.
20 years ago. I was holy shit.
The making of the making of a short film, or what was it? The making of.
I think it was just called The Making Of.
The making of. I think it was. Yeah.
That was Tyler Schown, right?
Tyler Schown, Jolly Mule Productions. Yeah.
And a very bad, poorly written scene by me. Sorry about that. That was my fault. But
you did a great job, though.
Oh, thank you.
And it snowed like crazy that night.
It
and
did,
in fact,
yes.
out the window where you're doing your scene, you could see in the background the snow just dumping down.
It was cold that night, I remember.
Yeah.
It was Ava Escobedo. I'm going to butcher this name. Escobedo was there as well. She's a local actress. Yeah, we were standing outside, and all of a sudden, it just started sheeting down like no other.
It was amazing.
And it wasn't going to stop.
Yeah,
oh man, it was
Cinematic,
really cold
though.
that night. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can watch it on YouTube if you want to.
Yeah,
it's a
on
great
YouTube.
film. It's a great film.
That's Jolly Mule Productions.
Jolly
Yes.
Mule
Yeah.
Productions. Yeah. But I guess when it comes to the Pueblo Film Commission, do you guys help filmmakers get the permits to be able to film on location?
We do. Well, Pueblo's pretty easy actually when you start looking at permits, and there is a whole section on the website that actually gives you all the criteria, everything that you need. And then if you look at what you're doing, we always try to encourage people, depending on the nature of your film. I mean, if your film does require that we have to shut down streets, once you start talking about shutting down streets, like we brought in Harley Davidson back in 2018, and they shot under, this is how the Film Commission actually started. They shot under top secret. They brought their 2019 models to Pueblo. And they have these 2-story black boxes where they bring the vehicles out. But we had to shut down streets. Yeah. So for them, we had to get special permits. But it was that whole filming. We shot 80% of all the new models for Harley Davidson in Pueblo. And we did the 500,000, Harley Davidson calendars. We did the website. It was in 26 languages. It went viral, like 22 million hits and what have you. And it was then Governor Hickenlooper that called us and said, Gregory, what are you guys doing down in Pueblo? You guys are marketing the state of Colorado more than anyone else, but you don't have a film commission. So they gave us seed money, a little bit of seed money, just to start what we have created. Right. So for permits, we really like to work with people because sometimes you don't need to get a permit. Right. It really depends on and it's so much easier if you don't have to get a permit.
Right.
As soon as you have to get the permit, it becomes problematic on a lot of different levels.
I can see if you had like fake police cars and chases and that kind of stuff.
Well, the main thing is
on.
whenever you need to shut down a street, if you need to shut down a street, and you create, where there's no throughway, that's where it becomes problematic because then it's a police department, it's a fire department, it's the city, everyone gets involved in that. And so
everybody
that's usually,
gets a cut.
A little bit of a cut, yeah. It's not really, I mean, if you can work around it, and usually we can, you know, then it's much easier. But yeah, we can help facilitate that, because sometimes it's an issue of contacting someone within the city, depending upon the nature of the filming. And we might be able to, so you could have a conversation to determine if that permit is even necessary.
Okay. Right
So we
on.
just try to open up the dialogue, yeah. Because it can be kind of intimidating, and plus, if we help you, it kind of vets it a little bit, and they don't feel like some production company that's from wherever is coming to do things, because, you know, the city wants to look good too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a two-way street.
Okay, right on.
Did you have any more questions before we move along to reviewing the Riesling?
Let's
I'm
see,
almost done with the Riesling.
Yeah, so am I.
Me too.
Honestly, like, for the most part, you actually answered a lot of my questions for the most part. But I mean, I think the only main one I have is,
Yeah.
where are all the filmmakers at, man? It feels like it's so quiet. You know what I mean?
It's been quiet, I think, usually, and there are kind of cliques I've noticed with certain festivals and certain filmmakers, and so that's one reason that we really want to create. We're going to start having meetings again. We used to do like a quarterly meeting at lunchtime in the middle of the day, and we would get like 80, 90 people. And these were filmmakers, these were actors, these were people in front of the camera, behind the camera, pre-production, post-production. We had them all there. And so that helps a lot in terms of, but you know, like the 48-hour film festival, you know, like with Kick-Ass, that in itself, the nature of that whole festival requires that a lot of teams come together, and they always are. So that's going to be a big deal, and that's April 6th when they're going to have the final event. So back that up, end of March, that's when all these teams are going to be running around Pueblo making their films.
Right. I think you're right. I think when you have these film festivals, then everybody will start to connect and meet each other. Right now, we're all just a bunch of 4 or 5 people with a camera and some audio equipment, maybe, and trying our best. You know what I mean? But
Post-COVID times, man, things are different.
Well, and then you have the whole issue of, is this for commercial? You know, because there's a lot of filmmakers that do a lot of commercial work. You know, that work for corporations, that work for businesses, and they'll do ads like for Black Hills or for Vestas or for CS Wind or for, you know, the city or the county government. So you're going to find, and I know a lot of the filmmakers that's all they do, is they primarily do commercial work.
yeah, I mean, that's where the money's at.
There is money there. And then you've got other filmmakers that are really doing things for festivals. They're going to do it for streaming services. I mean, I was part of Voyage of the Chimera, the first, and that was a huge. So I would have to say, before the pandemic, that film in itself, I mean, that was a weekly event that happened, you know, multiple days each week, where there were, you know, dozens of people on that set every single time. And so that brought a lot of people together. And then, of course, it went into post-production, and then it went into a whole other phase in terms of how it was going to be screened. And I know they went through a lot of different iterations. So I know, you know, the Gates are really excited now to take this second. Because he's got like, is it 4 or 5?
Something like that.
6 episodes planned.
I'm just like, where is he gonna go? Where's this gonna go?
Oh, well, the story is amazing. I mean, I heard where
it's so intense.
That one's available on Amazon, right?
Yeah,
It's available for free on Amazon, in Tubi, and I'm pretty sure there's other places that I don't know about currently, but guaranteed you could probably find it on a free movie streaming service.
I think
Voyage of the Chimera.
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 Chimera. That's how I always read it.
Yeah.
Chimera. Yeah, Voyage of the Chimera. And that's all Colorado. It was beautifully done.
They did a good job, man.
Yeah.
They
For the
worked
budget,
their asses
I mean,
off.
when you look at the budget that I mean, it's like $25,000. I mean, that's like a $200,000, $300,000 budget minimum in terms of what they were able to do.
If you like, it's like a sci-fi. It's
like-
kind of like maybe a Red Dwarf or a.
It's like a sci-fi version of The Hunt for Red October or U-571. It feels like it's like a submarine space movie.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
A submarine
Okay,
space
yeah, that
movie.
is more
That's
that
how
one.
Michael Gates likes to talk about it that way.
That's the best way to explain
Yeah,
it.
it is.
So go check out that one. We're gonna come back for a part 2, but let's review this because we got a whole lot to talk to you about, Greg. Let's review this Holy Cross Winery Riesling.
I like it.
I finished mine. It's delicious.
It's light, so I mean, it would be really nice. You know, I like to have white wine around the house a lot, just for a quick, nice, chill, you know, beverage.
Yeah.
In the winter, I switch more to reds, but I mean, this is a really nice. I mean, I see this more with appetizers maybe, or with a dessert at the end.
That's how I feel.
I wouldn't drink a Riesling unless fish. This would go really well with the fish. Something like that.
Okay. Yeah, people usually don't go sweet with dinner, though, right?
But it depends on the type of, you know, if there's some tartness to the fish or to the meat or to the dish, this would be a really nice compliment.
Okay. Well, would you give it on a
Germans
scale?
drink a lot of Riesling all day long, so.
Germans drink anything, man. They don't give a shit.
What is the scale that we're using?
I don't know. What would your Riesling scale be, I guess?
For my Riesling, well, all I can say is it's not as full-bodied as a true traditional Riesling. So, and I think that's just the way that this was actually blended, or the way that they actually created this particular Riesling. It's not as well defined, I would have to say. You know, it's not as structured or rigid as, say, a really good, you know, vintage Riesling, you know, that's got multiple generations of vines.
So
you know,
that hurts it a little bit. Probably drops it down maybe
well,
a 4 or a 3.
Well, it's just a young. It tastes like it because it doesn't linger when you drink
okay.
this. Do you get an after? I mean, it doesn't hang with you very much.
Not for very long, no.
It pretty much disappears. Mm-hmm. I think a really good vintage wine will linger a little bit, and it works really well. This, yeah, and you could do this without food too.
Right. I don't think it's all right for a pretty. I would
It's
say
not bad
like
at all.
a
I mean,
dessert. I
coming
would
from
say a
Canyon City,
dessert.
it's really convenient, and it's
Yeah, definitely.
It's clean, it's crisp, it's fresh, and I love the blue bottle.
Yeah, so they're doing pretty good over there at the Holy Cross, I would say, for being a Colorado winery.
Yeah, definitely.
They've got a loyal following over there.
Yep.
Really loyal following.
Okay, so we'll be back with Greg in 2 weeks. So come back. We're going to talk about Japan. Greg's he takes people to Japan every year, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a different strain of weed, and we're going to review some sake. So come back here in 2 weeks for that. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, guys. Let's see you later.
And we're clear.